hang tight for a couple minutes.
There you go. So then, yeah, you can begin, 10:02, 10:03, whenever you'd like.
Sweet. Yeah. I'll usually give it a couple minutes. Be like, hey, we're gonna wait for people to file in, and then go from there. Let's be real. I had an 8 o'clock. You familiar with Dana Halpern, NGU? We started like 8:05 today. Meeting starts at 8 o'clock, so it's no big deal. Looks like we do have two.
It was just too early for me.
I understand that. Yeah, Friday I'm like rolling out of bed at 7:30. I'm like, oh, we got a meeting in 30 minutes. Anyway, I do see we have two attendees present, Donna and Kim. Thank you guys for coming through. We are going to give it a couple minutes and see if anyone else trickles in. Ideally, we're going to give the chance to ask and answer questions. Even Huskey and myself, Paul Carswell, Social Security and Medicare webinar. Thanks for coming, and hang tight while we wait for some more people to trickle in, and then we look forward to our next hour together. So,
yeah, well, we'll take about 40 minutes.
yeah. It won't
we'll
take.
Do if anybody has questions, just put them in the chat, or
Yep.
if you want to say hi, we'll say hi back.
Thank you for utilizing the chat function. Thanks, Kim.
Sure thing, Kim. Ernie Guerrero's here. All right. Paul, have you watched any Cubs baseball this year?
I have watched a little bit. They're kind of all over the place, man. I watched.
I had to avert my eyes. It was terrible baseball.
Yeah, no, they have no shot at the playoffs. I'll tell you that. But they've been playing Pittsburgh, I think, in this past series, and it's just been all over the place. I think they had one game was like 8-7, another one was like 14-5, or just no defense, just swinging the bat as hard as they can.
It looks like they're football scores.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
They have no defense.
Yeah, right. That's funny. Yeah. No, the Cubs, I should not like the Cubs, given that I'm a Cleveland fan, in 2016 and how that all played out. But I don't know. I got a soft spot for a couple of their guys. I like they got a young guy in center field, Christopher Morel, and then Frank Schwindel is the first baseman. Frank the Tank is his nickname. You gotta love it. It's
so
just
weird not seeing Rizzo on that bag.
I know, and it's even worse seeing him in a Yankees uniform.
Oh yeah. Sorry
if anyone here is a Yankees fan. It's just we'll just have to agree to disagree on that one.
Donna maybe. She's from New York.
Donna, it's okay. I'm not going to hold it against you, but Yankees are not my favorite. I see we've got another one joining us here. Ernie, thanks for coming by, Ernie. As we've mentioned, thank you, Donna. Thank you for clarifying that you are also not a Yankees fan. I appreciate that very much.
Well, we can get started whenever you're ready, man.
Yeah, I'm going to get ready to roll into it. Just want to say thanks, Ernie. We've got two other attendees in here and have already acknowledged that the chat function is how we're going to be able to communicate back and forth and answer any questions. This is going to be more of a conversation. Obviously, Steve and I both have presentations based on Social Security and Medicare, but we're people. We're real people. We're going to answer your real questions, and we're not limited to just the content that's on the screen. If something does end up taking kind of like a personal turn, we are more than happy to talk offline and do a little bit more deep dive in your specific situation. But we're here to help you at the end of the day. So we're really looking forward to getting this thing started, and I'm going to kick us off. So Stephen, let me introduce myself. My name is Paul Carswell. Or Stephen, why don't you introduce yourself, and then I'll introduce myself as I get ready to do the presentation.
Perfect. All right. Well, my name is Stephen Huskey with Huskey Financial. Specialize in personal and small business financial planning, really helping people out with reducing taxes, the best retirement planning that we can possibly do to maximize income. And I just really want to help and educate as many people as I can. That's why we do these free webinars. And if anybody's interested in chatting with us offline about your personal situation, let us know in the chat. We'll reach out to you, and then we'll also send out this recording so you can share it with whomever it is that you'd like. So that's a little bit about me. I've been in the business for about 12, 13 years now. Love what I do. Love helping folks.
Very good. And Stephen, I'm going to do this too right now. I have it on the first slide, but my contact information, I'm going to put it in the chat for everybody. So that way, if you want to shoot me a text, shoot me an email, please do that. And I'll be able to tailor any questions to you specifically. All at medicareportal.org. All right. So feel free to reach out to me through either of those mediums, and let's get started.
Yep. You should be able to share.
You need to send me the permissions, please.
There you go.
All right. Very good. All right. Everyone can see the screen, or Stephen, let me know if you can see the screen.
Oh yeah, we're good.
Very good. Cool. So today we're going to talk about the basics of Medicare. And again, shoot anything in the chat if you do have any questions. Be able to stop in between slides, but we're going to cover the basics of Medicare today. So welcome. And really, who are we? So Stephen and I operate on separate companies, but we work together quite frequently. I work with a company called Medicare Portal, and who we are is a Medicare-based broker insurance agency that provides no-cost education and enrollment and lifetime support to current and future Medicare beneficiaries. So if you are not yet 65, I'm here to help you navigate that change when you do become Medicare eligible, or if you're working past 65, I can help you there as well. If you already have Medicare, I'll be able to help you navigate your current enrollment as well as any other questions you may have. These are all the states that we're currently licensed in. So I did hear that someone in here is from New York, and they're not a Yankees fan. Donna, thank you so much. But we have services for you. Basically, what we try to do is provide resources across the country. Medicare is pretty much the same. Some policies change across the country, but for the most part, original Medicare is going to hold up as it is a federal program. So we'll help you navigate all that. What makes us unique is that we are local. So Stephen and I here are based in Charleston, South Carolina, but we are not limited by our just our locality. But if you are in the Charleston area, we'd be happy to get a cup of coffee with you and just talk shop. But if you are outside of the state, no worries. We still have Zoom, as you see, or phone calls, and we can communicate via email as well. So we don't cost anything. We are independent and definitely on the innovative side. We're always doing what we can to benefit our clients and connections. So Medicare Portal's path, our unique process. First of all, we prepare you. We help you understand Medicare. We assist you in enrollment in parts A and B, as well as supplemental benefits. We teach, as you can see right now, we're in a seminar or webinar. We help teach you how to utilize your plan benefits. And then we help provide lifetime support, including annual plan reviews. So here's a funny quote. If you're not confused and you're not paying attention, I just gave an educational seminar yesterday I was telling Stephen about with current business professionals, and it seemed to go right over their head. I'm like, good, you guys are paying attention. But what is really important is that you know that these resources exist. I'm willing to have these conversations with you, again, at no cost, and please utilize my time. That's why I'm here. So what we'll cover today is, first of all, what is Medicare? Then we'll hit Medicare eligibility, the parts of Medicare, Medicare options, enrollment periods, enrollment penalties, and premiums, and IRMA. Just so you know, we're going to scoot pretty quickly because we do have somewhat of a limited time here to talk about Medicare, and then we will go forward with Stephen's presentation. So I'm going to move quickly. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. What is Medicare? The four parts of Medicare: A, B, C, and D. Original Medicare, 1966, both parts A and B. Part C came around in 97, and Part D, prescription drugs, in 2006. Medicare eligibility. First of all, you must be a U.S. citizen or a legal resident. And then for legal residents living in the U.S., it must be at least 5 years in a row, including the 5 years just before applying for Medicare. You must also meet one of the following requirements, which is either age 65 or older, age younger than 65 with a qualifying disability, really having collected Social Security disability income for 24 months or 2 years consecutively, and anyone else who has end-stage renal disease or kidney failure or ALS, which is also considered Lou Gehrig's disease. They'll automatically be enrolled in Medicare. The parts of Medicare, we have A, hospital, B, medical, Part C is Medicare Advantage, and Part D, prescription drugs. We're going to dive into each one of those really quickly. So what does Medicare Part A cover? As I mentioned, hospital, really just think inpatient care. So if you've been admitted to the hospital, if you've been admitted to a rehabilitation center or nursing home, or home health and hospice care. Home health specifically needs to be based around skilled nursing care, not palliative care. Skilled nursing facilities is what designates whether Part A is acknowledged or not. Part A is premium free for those who have paid taxes for 40 quarters or equivalent to 10 years here in the States. And it also can be purchased for those that have not worked up to 40 quarters. And there are different premiums associated based on the amount of quarters that you have paid in your taxes. What does Medicare Part B cover? So Medicare Part B, as I mentioned, is medical insurance. The easiest way to distinguish between Part A and Part B is that Part A is hospital or inpatient care. Part B is medical or outpatient care. So you can still go to the hospital, receive an outpatient procedure. That's considered Medicare Part B. So whether it's if you're not admitted to the hospital, which technically could include observation, which they can keep you up to 3 days for observation. You need to clarify with the practice whether you're being admitted. Once you're admitted, then it's inpatient. Everything observation or outpatient care in the hospital, like an outpatient surgery 1 day in and out, that is outpatient care under Medicare Part B. But this covers doctors, health providers, outpatient care, and preventative services. There is a Medicare Part B premium, and the premium required varies based on income, which Stephen will, I'll mention later, and Stephen will also help us protect our income for IRMA increases. But this year's base premium for Medicare Part B is $170.10. And then if you have any kind of IRMA adjustments, which means income related monthly adjustment amount, then I believe I have a screen up here later we can talk about. So if you make a lot of money, unfortunately, the government wants a little bit more from you. So I'm not saying it's good, but hey, that's what it is. So Part C, moving on. All-in-one plans. So Medicare Part C is provided by private insurance companies. You can see the third bullet there. All-in-one. Basically, it takes Part A hospital, Part B medical, and Part D prescription drugs, wraps it all into one, and is administered by a private insurance company. So rather than the government being your primary insurer, your private insurance company that has your Medicare Advantage plan or your Part C plan is now the primary insurer, and the government, in a sense, hands you off to the private insurance company. Oftentimes, these plans come with additional benefits like dental, vision, hearing, and more. And they provide, as I mentioned, they're provided by private insurance companies. And the plan designations are similar to HMOs, which is Health Maintenance Organization, providing in-network benefits only. PPOs, which has an in-network and an out-of-network option. POS, which PPO is Preferred Provider Organization. POS is point of sale. And oftentimes we'll see a lot of HMO POS plans based on the dental benefits being point of service plans. PFFS and MSAs, which you don't see a lot of. Usually you'll see HMOs and PPOs and the occasional POS in there. So premiums will vary with many plans, oftentimes being a 0 monthly premium. For most of the Medicare Advantage plans, you'll see a lot of 0 premium plans, sometimes $25, sometimes $40. We help you look through all of that stuff.
Question, Paul, on Part C.
Yes, sir.
So you could have Part C and not own A, B, and D. You could just buy C.
So you are required to have Parts A and B in order to enroll in a Part C plan. And what Part C plans often do is they count as creditable coverage for your prescription drug coverage. So your Part D plan. So you don't need to have often cases, there are some MA onlys is what it's called, which would require you to enroll in a separate Part D plan. Or you, for example, there's a lot of Patriot plans. So if someone has prescription benefits through the VA, then they'll get their prescriptions through the VA and that'll be creditable, and they only need the Medicare Advantage portion of it with Parts A and B. But oftentimes your Medicare Advantage plan is going to also include prescription drug coverage. So, but you have to have Parts A and B first. You have to have Parts A and B first. So good question.
Mm-hmm.
Now, provided by the private insurance companies is Part D plans as well. So mentioned Part A and B by the government, Part C and D, private insurance companies. Now, in this case, Part D, it can be included into Part C, as we just mentioned, or it will be a standalone plan. So a lot of folks will have Part A and B from the government, and then a Medicare supplement plan, which we'll talk about just in a second, and then a standalone Part D plan, standalone prescription drug plan. And again, the other option is to go with a Medicare Advantage plan. But formularies will vary per plan. Formulary is a fancy name for a drug list, what drugs are included on those plans as covered, generics, brand names, specialty drugs, things like that. There is an IRMA adjustment for Medicare Part D as well. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Then penalty for not enrolling in time, just like for Medicare Part B, if you do not enroll within your either initial enrollment period, special enrollment period, or a special enrollment period that you have, there is a potential penalty associated. It is needed. You add it if you enroll in a Medicare supplement plan. So Medicare supplement, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about in just a second, they do not come with prescription drug plans. So you would have to enroll in a standalone prescription drug plan. And the coverage for self-administered outpatient prescriptions. If your prescriptions, for example, I had a client I was working with who had tailored allergy medications, and that was administered in the doctor's office. That falls under Medicare Part B because he didn't go to the pharmacy to go get it covered. Same thing with some of the drugs that are administered in the hospital. It would fall under Medicare Part A because it was administered in the hospital as a hospital inpatient treatment. Part D usually is when you either get it through mail order pharmacy, if you go to like CVS or Walgreens and go and pick it up yourself, or any of the local drug stores or grocery stores. I'm not partial to any. We search based on your needs. Now, Medigap, I mentioned Medicare supplement, and this will often be paired with a standalone prescription drug plan. So first of all, you have to have Parts A and B in order to enroll. Additional coverage for Part A and Part B deductibles, as well as copays and coinsurances, are included on the Medigap plans. The idea is that it covers any gaps that original Medicare doesn't cover. A good example is a lot of folks are familiar with how Medicare Part B, you pay the government pays 80% of the claim, and you're left with the other 20% of the claim. In that circumstance, Medicare supplement or a Medigap plan, which is they're synonyms, they're the same thing. They end up covering the other 20%. So you pay a monthly premium, and instead of paying what you normally would have had to pay in your claims as 20%, the Medigap plan covers that. So that's an example of where it would step in. Benefits are standardized per Medicare guidelines. Medicare sets the standard. For example, Medicare Supplement Plan G is probably the most popular offering right now. And a lot of companies offer Plan G. They kind of buy in. They can't change the benefits on Supplement Plan G. They basically say to the government, yes, I want to offer this plan in this zip code. I'm going to put it in at this premium. And the premiums can change based on the plan. So if you had a certain coverage as an employer under your employer group health plan, that company doesn't always offer a Medicare supplement plan, nor does that Medicare supplement plan differ from any other company that's offering as well. So the example I like to use is if Burger King is offering you a Medicare supplement plan, it's going to be the same as if one of these health insurance companies is offering it, because they've opted in, and it is a Medicare supplement plan G. The benefits do not change. The only differences are premiums and initial fees and product ratings and things like that. So premiums vary by geography, age, gender, tobacco use, household size, etc. Anyway, a lot going on there. Any questions? Stephen, anything you want to stop me on?
No, you've been doing a great job.
Sweet. I'm going to keep rolling. As we mentioned, guys, my contact info is in the chat. Email, phone number, text me, email me, call me. I'll be able to answer any specific questions you may have. and I'd be
I know
happy
this
to do
stuff and it's even over my head. So I would definitely.
that. I understand. Everybody should be completely confused at this point, and that's why we're here smiling, so that way you know you can talk to a real person about this. So this is really how we like to break this down. Once you enroll in Medicare Parts A and B, there's really two options on what directions you can go to manage your care. The first option that we like to talk with clients on is understanding Medicare supplement and enrolling in a prescription drug plan, a standalone prescription drug plan. There is something called the guaranteed issue, or they actually, on a lot of enrollment forms, they call it open enrollment. But basically, within the first 6 months of you enrolling in Medicare Part B, you are guaranteed issue to a lot of these Medicare supplement plans. Outside of that 6 months of first enrolling in Medicare or Medicare Part B, you have to go through medical underwriting in order to get accepted onto this plan. So that's why it's good to initially talk about this. If you have the financial ability to pay for something like this, it's a good place to start, because you can always change each year at the enrollment period, the annual enrollment period from October 15th to December 7th to a Medicare Advantage plan. And there are some special enrollment periods that we can take advantage of to send you back to your supplement within the first year if you say are not pleased with your Advantage plan or the structure of it. So it's not a one shoe fits all. It really is a tailored conversation to the individual. So that's why it's important we have a conversation about it. And then, so Medigap, as we talked about, covers some of the costs not paid by original Medicare Parts A and B. And then a prescription drug plan covers prescription drugs at the pharmacy. Second option, option two, Medicare Advantage plans, otherwise known as Medicare Part C. We've already talked about this. It combines Part A and B, hospital and medical, provides additional benefits like dental, vision, hearing, transportation, gym memberships, things like that. Over-the-counter benefits. I can keep going on. So a bunch of freebies, bells and whistles, things to make you want to enroll in that plan. Usually offered at a low premium, and then most plans cover prescription drugs. So what happens when you enroll in original Medicare? Parts A and B become your primary payer of claims, unless you're on an Advantage plan. Part A and B is your primary payer of claims, and the care must be provided through Medicare contracted providers. There are a ton of doctors all throughout the country that accept original Medicare. So if you're on original Medicare and a supplement plan, then you really should be able to go anywhere within the 50 states or even to the US territories and receive care. Another fun fact is that if someone has a Medicare supplement plan and the doctor accepts original Medicare, they are required to take that supplement plan as a secondary form of payment, which is why I referenced Burger King. Doesn't matter that it's Burger King, because original Medicare is taken by the doctor. Burger King supplement is going to be accepted as a secondary form of payment. There's no network the only network that the supplement plan is dependent on is the original Medicare network. So if the doctor accepts Medicare, they take the supplement. And as I mentioned, care is offered in all 50 states as well as US territories. So if you're doing an international trip, go to the islands, the US territory, go to the US Virgin Islands, go to St. Thomas. You can receive care there and not have to worry about international travel costs.
Cool.
There is no coverage for dental and vision and hearing through the supplement plan. That is something that's important to note. And if original Medicare is not first triggered as a primary form of payments, your supplement plan will not step in. So it's really a 1-2 punch. If Medicare is there, your supplement plan is ready to go. If Medicare is not there, supplement plan doesn't show up. So except for the case of supplement plans offer international travel benefits, but we don't need to go into all that. Some international, that's a separate conversation for a separate day. If you want to talk about it, we can have a conversation. Anyway, moving right along. Medicare supplement or Medigap policies plus original Medicare. Again, as I mentioned, must be enrolled in Parts A and B, covers the gaps for Medicare, standardized benefits for all plans, premiums based on gender, age, smoke, and residence, guaranteed issue within 6 months of Part B start date. That's something I mentioned earlier. 6 months within the first enrollment in Part B, and you get guaranteed issue, no medical underwriting. So what happens when you enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan? Your plan will be the primary. So we're kind of shifting now. We're talking about option two. Your plan will be the primary payer of claims. So in the other circumstance where original Medicare is your primary payer of claims and you have Medigap as a secondary, now your Medicare Advantage plan is the primary payer of claims. They step in the place of the government as your primary payer, and now your Medicare card is more of just a reference point than anything else, because your Medicare Advantage plan is what you take to the hospital, what you take to the doctor, what you take to the pharmacy. And that's a one-stop shop for your care. So Your plan will be your primary payer of claims. The network-based care is usually, as I mentioned, the HMO, POS, or PPO. One's in HMO in network, PPO is in network and out of network, and then continuing to pay your Medicare Part B premium. So Medicare Advantage is usually going to be a zero premium or a low premium, especially compared to some supplement and prescription drug plans. You still must pay your Medicare Part B premium. Again, you have to have parts A and B in order to be enrolled in this. You can't be enrolled in Part B if you're not paying your premiums. So that's part of that. Part D benefits are typically included as well. Enrollment period. So this is where it's important to have a Medicare insurance broker working with you. I'll help you understand your initial enrollment period, which is the 3 months before your 65th birth month, the month of your 65th birth month day, and the 3 months after your 65th birthday. So it's a 7-month window for your initial enrollment period. And your enrollment is automatic in some cases, but otherwise you have to opt in. The only case where it would be automatic is if you're receiving some kind of Social Security benefit before the age of 65. So I think it's 62, right? You can start pulling Social Security stuff. Stephen will tell you more about that. But if you're taking Social Security benefits before the age of 65, you'll automatically be enrolled in Parts A and B. If you are not receiving Social Security benefits before age 65, you must apply for Parts A and B. You must opt in a sense. And you will receive notifications from Medicare regarding your enrollment. I think you do get like one letter, like 3 months beforehand. So just if you're 64 and 9 months, keep an eye on your mail. CMS is going to send you something, and make sure you either opt out of your enrollment or opt in. How do you apply during your initial enrollment period? The easiest way to do it and the quickest way to get updates is to enroll on ssa.gov. That way it goes to your local Social Security office, and you get your, the communication is a lot quicker. You'd be able to get enrollment, Social Security. So it's going to move as quick as Social Security does, but that's the quickest way to get it done. You can mail it as well or fax it. You can phone in and have a telephonic enrollment, and you can also go in person now. The Social Security offices are open. Special enrollment periods, this one's important. So if you are 65 and older, and you're working for an employer that has 20 or more employees, then you can qualify for a special enrollment using the employer group health plan as a qualified coverage. So you have 8 months after you end your coverage with your employer to enroll in Medicare Part B, and then you only have 63 days from that termination of benefits to enroll in a Part C and Part D plan. So you kind of have to make your mind up faster than 8 months, but you have the option of using 8 months as your window. Remember, if you're not enrolled in a prescription drug plan or something that's considered creditable coverage, then you could be susceptible to a penalty. So we want to try and avoid that at all times. How do we do that? We talk with an agent about your eligible special enrollment periods, if you have any, or your initial enrollment periods, or the open enrollment period, or the annual enrollment period. I can keep going if you want me to. There's many enrollment periods. Working past 65, as I mentioned, this is pretty important for those of you that are approaching either not quite ready for retirement, but 65 and still working. If your employer has under 20 employees, this is really important. Medicare will be the primary payer of your claims, and you must enroll in Part A and B. The reason you must enroll is because if you don't, you will not have a special enrollment period later on, like someone who has an employer with 20 or more employees. So you are going to be susceptible to late enrollment penalties that will last you a lifetime. Now, for employers that have over 20 employees, not necessarily, and so this is a good one too, Stephen, not necessarily for people who have employers that have employees on their group health plan of 20 or more. It's as long as the employee number is 20 or more, because the employer could offer a plan that only 3 people are enrolled on, but if they have more than 20 employees, then we're good. So Medicare will be your secondary payer of claims in this case, but oftentimes what I'll recommend is that we do an analysis and see if the cost is really worth it, because you have premiums to consider that are getting taken out of your paycheck. You have deductibles to cover that are usually lower under Medicare or an Advantage plan or a supplement plan. So we look at all that together. Basically, I help you make an informed decision whether to stay on your group health plan based on your financial exposure, or if it's time to go on to Medicare and make that decision. And again, you'll be eligible for an SEP, special enrollment period, if you have 20 or more employees on your company. How do you enroll during an SEP? You see the same ways as the other way. During the initial enrollment period, go online, mail it in, fax it in, or you go in person to your local Social Security office. If you call in, you'll probably just be getting answer to questions. That's it, but you can't actually do a special enrollment over the phone. The required forms are going to be the CMS 40B, which is an enrollment in Medicare Part B specifically, and the CMS L564, which creates that special enrollment period for you. And Stephen, I'm going to do my best to move quickly so we can give you some time because it's about 10:30. Part B penalties, as I mentioned, 10% for every year you don't have Part B benefits, and 1% per month for every Part D month that you don't have Part D benefits based on the national average. Premiums and IRMA. I mentioned we're going to talk about IRMA really quickly. This is a quick chart. If you want this chart, it is online. I can send this to you. So please reach out to me, text me, email me. I'll send it to you. As you see, the premiums 170.10, and there's increases based on whether you file single or married, and they fall right into these categories. And it's based off of your modified adjusted gross income from 2 years prior. So next year's 2023, they're going to look at your MAGI from 2021 in order to make the determination of whether you have a Part B premium increase or Part D surcharge. Cool.
Glad you covered that because I was actually going to pull that up in part of mine, so I don't need to do that now. Thank you.
Sweet. Got it right here. So if you need it, let me know. I'll send you this whole presentation. I don't have a problem. This is good information. It's good to revisit. Just let me know if you need any help, and I'd be happy to do it. I kind of enjoy just being a resource for everybody. So helpful resources other than myself. SSA.gov, Medicare.gov. Great information. It really is kind of the backbone or the spine of what we do. It's the government set guidelines. It's how we operate, and the foundation on which we operate. Medicare app, what's covered on your smartphone. This is a really good application. If you're wondering whether your knee surgery is covered, you type in knee surgery onto Medicare, what's covered, and it'll pull up, yes, covered, 80% copay or 80% with a 20% coinsurance. And then obviously MedicarePortal.org. That's where I come from. We've got some really good resources and educational things going forward where we talk about prescription drugs specifically. We talk about Medicare Advantage versus Medicare Supplement. This is a Medicare Basics presentation. We have so many other resources for you to take advantage of. Please check us out or reach out to me, as I've mentioned. So locally, Medicare portals all over the place. We have brokers all over the East Coast, basically, and I think one in Texas as well. But as you saw, we're licensed everywhere. And then the local Social Security offices, go ahead and do that thing. So final thoughts. Medicare is confusing. Start early. It's an individual decision. Select plans that meet your medical needs first. Select plans that meet your financial needs. I should say financial. And then know the cost if your plans go beyond the premium. So any questions? There's my contact info once again. If there's no questions in the chat, feel free to shoot questions in the chat. Take 1 minute, and then Stephen, you can go ahead and do your thing.
Yeah, while you're doing that, great work, man. I mean, that's a ton of information, good, helpful stuff. You know, we both had the licenses to understand Medicare. It's extremely convoluted, as you can tell. There's different things you need to consider as you start planning to take this. 6 months to sign up for it. You can fly by real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining. We have 7 attendees right now. Both of our contact information is in the chat. I will move forward. I don't see any people writing questions, so I think they're going to just start emailing you directly for that.
Very good.
And I'm going to get going here.
Thank you so much, guys. I'll be hanging out here, and Stephen, floor is yours.
Awesome. Just a real quick background on who I am. I don't have to read this whole bio, but basically what I do is I specialize in helping with wealth management and strategic business planning services for medical professionals, practice owners, individuals, families, and any small business owners. We specialize a lot in helping reduce the constant barrage of taxes and helping increase cash flow for businesses as well. So if you have any questions at all about that, my contact information is in the chat. Happy to help anybody out. So let's start this presentation. Paul, you'll man the chat. I don't know how to get this to present. Oh, it's on my other screen.
I got the chat open, so I'll keep an eye on it for you.
All right, cool. I'll just go through like this. This is easy for me. So we're going to talk about how Social Security works, some definite things you should understand and know about Social Security, different types of payment scenarios, different benefits that can come through, and some underlying issues about the program. Since I know people are always saying, oh, when I get to that age, I'm never going to be able to have this benefit. Congress is going to keep dipping into it, stuff like that. So we'll go deep into that. So how does Social Security work? It's funded through our taxes, right? So as we work, we're paying 7.5% of our paychecks to the Social Security annuity. And whenever you end up being age 62, which is the first year that you're eligible for Social Security, you become a beneficiary now. You can still actually add to the program as you're working through your taxes, but you're actually able to be a beneficiary of that as well. The average monthly benefit as of January of this year for people across America is $1,657. Okay. 7.5% of your paycheck, your employer also will match that. So 7.5% of that in payroll taxes goes to FICA as well. So 15% is usually paid out. You must work just like Medicare in order to be eligible for this 40 credits, which is 40 quarters of working and adding to the program, which is basically 10 years total. So when you earn those 40 credits, you and your spouse both qualify for the Social Security retirement benefit and for Medicare. Your benefit is determined, and this changes as you continue to work. It's determined by averaging your highest 35 years of salary. So that we do such a large, broad amount of years because there are some years that people may take off or care for families or, create their own business, which isn't profitable for a few years and not paying into the system. So by averaging out 35 years, we're able to take the highest average of that so that your benefit is as much as it can be. I did not know this until I did this presentation, but paper statements are no longer mailed. So if you want to figure out what that benefit looks like for you, ssa.gov or socialsecurity.gov. And I've got a little picture here of how the website looks. So you're at the right one and not a scam website. I don't know if there are any scam websites out there, but if you put in socialsecurity.com, it's not going to take you to the right place. Socialsecurity.gov is the right place to go. So you can check out your benefit anytime. What you should know: the year you were born determines what your full retirement age is. So the full retirement age is important because that's when you receive 100% of your eligible benefit. So if you're born between 1943 and 54, 66 is your retirement age. 67, if you're like my parents' ages at 1960 or above, 67 is your full retirement age. We got any questions?
No questions. That's great info though. It's
Cool.
The ages climb. Yeah.
Oh, I see you put the website in there. Thank you.
Yeah, I just put in ssa.gov. Anything you say, I'm going to try and throw URLs in there and so people can click on them.
Got it. So the age when you activate and apply for your benefit is important. So if you apply early at age 62 and you're first eligible, you receive 3/4 of your original benefit. Some people, they want to take it because they don't have the best life expectancy and their family history shows that. And they're like, I want to get what I can get while I can get it, right? Some people, they wait until full retirement age, the FRA at 100% of benefit. And if you can wait until age 70, which is the last time when you need to apply for it, age 70, you're able to get 132% of the original benefit. So for an example here, the maximum monthly benefit is at full retirement age, $3,345. It's the most you can get. If you delay until age 70, the maximum you can get is almost $4,200. So if we do the math on that, if you wait till age 70, you live till age 90, that's 20 years of that additional benefit. That is over $200,000 of extra income. So work with a financial advisor, an expert in this, who can help you determine when it makes sense to get the most income. If you can pull from other resources and delay this is the cheapest and the largest annuity that you can be a part of. So again, 8% increase for every year that you delay. So that's almost a full percent. Oh, it's 2/3. That's 2/3, right? Yeah, that's 2/3 of an increase per month that you're holding on, right? If you look at your statement, there are different places where you can figure out what your estimated benefits look like. So this is important if you're thinking about working with a financial planner. One of the first documents you should bring is your Social Security estimated benefit document. So there are increases. The COLA stands for cost of living adjustment. So that is tied to the consumer price index. So those reports that come out each year are very important, not only for companies who are trying to maximize their profits, but also for people like us who are looking at this index to see what our increases are going to be in Social Security. So for 2022, the cost of living adjustment for people who have Social Security, you're going to get an almost 6% increase in your benefit per month. Taxes. You may be thinking to yourself, why is this benefit that I've been paying into for 40 years going to be taxed? Well, the government's going to get their due, right? So your adjusted gross income, which could be from different retirement sources, if you have IRAs, if you have annuities, if you're taking part in Social Security, all of that income needs to be adjusted for taxes. So if you have, I'll give you an example. For a married couple, if you have income tax on 50, if you have income tax coming in, it's above a certain amount, you're going to be taxed up to 50% of your Social Security benefit. You're taxed on 85% of your benefit if your combined income is greater than 44,000. That's why it's so critical that you start paying taxes on your income today and saving it in places like Roth 401ks or Roth IRAs, because when you take that income, you're not paying taxes on the income at that point in time. The Power of Zero, if you haven't read that book, it's a great one. If you want another book recommendation, this is a really good one. It's called Get What's Yours. It's different plans and ways to maximize your Social Security benefit. It's by Lawrence Kotlikoff. So Get What's Yours is a great book. Check that out. So let's say here, guys, if you're working while you're eligible for Social Security, any wages at age 62, about 19,500, your Social Security benefit, if you take it then, is reduced by $1 for every $2 above that 19,560. So if you're still working, it may not behoove you to take on Social Security yet, and you'll be reducing that benefit. If you're still working at age 67, if that's your retirement age, any wages above almost 52,000 will be reduced by $1 for every $3 above that limit. And then once you've reached full retirement age after that, after 67, the month that you reach that full retirement age, there are no earnings limit. So you still receive 100% of the Social Security benefits paid. So again, figuring out when you can retire and take those benefits is going to be important for you. I'll take about 5 minutes to go into different payment scenarios here. So let's say we have a married couple. Spouse A's benefit is going to be the full retirement amount. And then let's say spouse B is the wife. Maybe she took some time off to raise some children, went back to work after they had the empty nest. Her benefit may be a little bit lower, but she's eligible also for 50% spousal benefit as well. So you can figure out what that looks like for you. Let's say you remarry. All right, so you've got benefits that continue if you remarry when you're age 60 or older. So let's say you have you're a widow, and spouse A's benefit is no longer present in your household because they're passed on. Your personal benefit is increased by that widower's amount. So you have an increase up to that. So you can have the survivor benefit, or you can have your personal benefit. And in a lot of cases, the survivor benefit is going to be more. So you should take whichever is greater. I have a bunch of different payment scenarios in here, like a widow and a widower for retirement age. I'll send this presentation out to everybody so you can take a look at this. But benefits, if your child has a benefit, say through the program, when they turn 18, that benefit's gone. Or when they're 22 and they are disabled or a student, that benefit stops after age 22. So if you're counting on that for income into your household, you have to start planning for that. How are you going to replace that income? It's an important piece. For divorced spouses, if the marriage lasted longer than 10 years, you're eligible for part of that other spouse's benefit. Each spouse is entitled to benefit. So whichever is greater, like the gentleman can come after the man. If they're a same-sex couple, they can figure it out that way. If the higher record spouse remarries, the new spouse's benefit is not affected. But in some cases, if the lesser record spouse remarries, they are not eligible for that higher spouse's Social Security benefit. So keep that in mind. So if you got a divorce that happened 10 years ago and you were married to that person for longer than 10 years, but you got a sweetheart, like maybe don't marry him for a while and get that benefit. Another example here, I kind of went over this already. Here are the issues around the program. So the ratio of workers to beneficiaries is definitely shrinking over time. There was a population crisis that we've talked about, the mass migration of baby boomers. They are headed into retirement or they are already in retirement. So we're paying a lot of people out right now. And then when those people have deceased and the workers that are into the system right now has shrunk, the amount of money going into the benefit is decreasing. So we've estimated by 2034, the Social Security Trust Fund is estimated to be exhausted. I do not know of any Congress member, though, however, that wants to have on their resume and on their record that they let the Social Security Trust Fund lapse. So they've got to fix this somehow, which they should. So another issue on the program is it's subject to political agendas. You know, legislation could change, different things could happen. It's also the benefits chained to the CPI budget deficit. So as the deficit gets larger, as do the benefits, but they get smaller. Social Security is not meant to replace all of your income. When you retire and you're only relying on Social Security, you're going to have some real struggle. I'll just say that. For low earners, it's only meant to be less, around a fifth of the amount of income you should be bringing in. For high earners, it could be a lot less than that. You should have multiple sources of income. I'm going to take the last 5 minutes of my presentation here to talk about what an optimal retirement plan looks like, including Social Security. So just to recap on Social Security, it's funded by the taxation of your wages while you're working. The benefit for you is averaged about your highest 35 years of wages. You must work for 40 quarters. It's 1 quarter per credit, and you and your spouse can both qualify for the benefit. Make sure you're checking out your statement. I'd look at it annually if you're getting close to that age, so you know how to plan. Full retirement age depends on the year you were born. If you can wait to age 70, you get 132% of the original benefit. That age is activated by your benefits amount, and then taxes also may be due on your benefit. So figuring out how much taxable income you have in retirement will determine how much your Social Security will be taxed. Working into retirement may also reduce your benefit. So activate it. You'd be best served to activate it after you're done working. Different benefits: spousal, widow, widowers, survivor's benefit, divorced spouse, and delayed retirement credits. And the issues around the program are future funding issues, part of political agendas that may cause changes to the program, and it's not meant to replace all of your income during retirement. Thank you. All right, so now I'm going to go into what an optimal retirement plan looks like. While I'm pulling that up, man the chat for me, Paul.
I got you. We got no current questions, but I think the scenarios that you painted and just how important it is to work with a financial advisor regarding just retirement strategies with Social Security, they're knowing what you're like, if you're a widow or a widower. I think that those scenarios aren't comfortably covered. So I think having you there to help guide us through that conversation and just knowing that you're a resource, I find that incredibly valuable. So I just want to give a shout out there.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So I'm going to go through real quick. We've already talked about Huskey Financial and what we do. This is the traditional retirement approach that most people will have in their lifetime. So they've saved for 40 years or however long they've worked, and they've accumulated all of these savings and investments. And either they're doing this themselves or their advisor is managing their money for them. And they have this one bucket of money, and they spit off what we call a typical withdrawal rate, which is around 4%. So if your money is earning you 4%, you're living off that 4% every year. And at the end of the year, what you've taken out has been replenished. There's a problem with this, though. This provides you over your lifetime with less income. You're going to be paying more taxes because your benefit stays the same. Your capital in that account stays the same, which means you're going to pay a lot more in taxes. There's a lot more risk involved because you have to replenish that 4% every year, even if the market's down 22% like it is today. The market's down 22%. You have to earn almost 30 to get back up to where you were.
Hey,
And you
Steven, I
have to take,
got a question for you actually,
Yeah.
coming from the chat. So question says, so if I am presently collecting spousal death benefit, this is available to me until my full retirement age of 66 plus 8 months, correct? So
if you're
if the
taking the
individual,
spousal death benefit, you can look and see if your benefit is going to be bigger and larger than that death benefit. If it's not, I would elect to continue taking the existing benefit.
and what is one of the ways that this individual can confirm what their benefit is going to be?
You go to ssa.gov, there's a link on there that's going to have you print out your estimated benefit report. And that's what you should be looking at.
I'm going to see if I
if you
can
feel
find
like
that
you
link.
need to apply for that, you can apply on the website.
Very good. SSA.gov sounds like a universal tool.
Great
Swiss
question.
Army knife, one would say.
Yes.
And the response is understood. So very good. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Thank you for your question. Back to this, there's going to be less liquidity, which means if you have a large expense, like your roof has a big leak in it, or you have some type of long-term healthcare event when you get much older, if you were to withdraw large chunks of money from this big bucket of money, your future income will suffer. So we spent all these years accumulating all of this wealth. Is distributing that wealth going to be different than accumulating it? Let's use this function of climbing up a mountain. So we're in our working years, we're in accumulation phase. There are 5 different risks that affect us up the mountain, just like gravity, right? Falling up a mountain is a heck of a lot less painful than falling down a mountain. You're generating your net worth by your cash flow, your income. And in retirement, you're taking all of that net worth and then you're generating cash flow from that. So it's just in reverse. The 5 risks or economic factors you need to consider. Number 1, when you're in retirement, if you live too long, longevity risk is the number 1 risk for retirees. It's not having enough money, outliving that money. There are some definite ways to combat that. The second one is illness or injury. When you're working, all you need is a disability policy. You can replace that income, no problem. But whenever you're in retirement, you got to have either a long-term care plan or you need to have some type of medical insurance like Medicare to take care of that. If the expenses are too large, it's going to be some problems. So you need to pull from your assets to pay for that. And again, when you do that, you're ruining your chances of increasing your income over time. Volatility is your friend while you're working. It allows you to take more risk and have a better sense of a rate of return. You want less volatility in retirement because if you can't suffer a big loss in retirement like you can because your time horizon is much shorter in retirement. Tax deferred vehicles like 401ks, traditional IRAs, places like that, HSAs. Fantastic place to put your money while you're working. It reduces our taxable income, which reduces our tax liability come tax time. It's one of the worst places to take your money from while you're retired because compound interest, while it is a beautiful thing, compound taxes are much larger. The government acknowledges that we as an individual investor are better at investing our own money than they would be. So they want us to put this money, there's why there's tax benefits into these types of accounts because their pool out of that money whenever their silent partnership with you has come due, they're going to get a lot more money. And then inflation means that if you're on a fixed income, you're spending less, your purchasing power has decreased. So people suffering right now at 8.6% inflation rate, and they're making the same income, they're on a fixed income, they are really hurting right now. So check on your grandma if you haven't already. How do we manage financial balance in retirement? We want to manage all of those economic factors and risks that we talked about. We need to be able to balance the amount of cash flow we're generating from our money. We want to be able to maintain a source of true liquidity. I'll talk about that in just a moment. And we also want to help reduce the amount of taxes that you're paying out of this. So it takes real financial planning to help you minimize the amount of money you're paying out to the government. Here's what we consider a balanced structure or an optimal retirement looks like. Number 1, we want a source of true liquidity, a bucket of money that's set aside, not counted on for income, but gives us a place where we can pull from if we have those large unexpected expenses, if we have large healthcare expenses and costs, if we want to, go ahead and start gifting some money via our legacy to family members or heirs, this is where we do it. Guaranteed income sources is a very important part as well. That could be Social Security. That could be portions of your retirement or non-qualified money put into an annuity that gives you the same paycheck every single year so that your fixed costs are always covered. This makes for a very happy retiree. The third bucket is always sourced by non-qualified money. The non-qualified money could be in a brokerage or an advisory account. And our objective here is to have variable growth so it can withstand a little bit more risk. We also want to be able to spend that money down. You're probably thinking, why in the world would I touch my principal? You have the other two, which provide you with some security. This one allows you to spend down the principal, which reduces your taxes. The taxes you pay are based upon the amount of capital you have. So if you're reducing the amount of capital, and as your taxes shrink on that, guess what? Your income increases. This is a very effective way to combat inflation, and it keeps your purchasing power where it should be. So this is how we build this out. Now, there's multiple sources of what a true liquidity bucket could be filled with, as well as variable income growth. I will say the most effective true liquidity bucket you could have is either cash, bonds, or cash value life insurance. Those are the three ways that you can fund it. I personally enjoy the cash value life insurance because you have that huge amount of cash value that you can withdraw from at a tax-free basis. And then also you can spend down that variable income, and the death benefit that comes when you pass to your heirs is given tax-free. Otherwise, if they're acquiring a lot of retirement money in a traditional account, that spouse does not have to pay tax on it, but if they pass it on to children or any other heirs, the new law states that you have to spend all of that retirement money down in 10 years. If little Billy's making $300,000 a year and doesn't need that income, if he has to pull this money out, it's going to push him to a higher tax bracket, which is going to be painful for him. His entire income will be much more taxed. So that's how we build that out. And that's what I got for you. I hope that was helpful. That's how we help our people plan. We do so by also considering how much Social Security you'll have. We usually create a spreadsheet that shows where every source of income will be. If you're charitably inclined, we can help with qualified charitable distributions, which are not taxable. So it'll reduce the amount of taxes you pay on your income. You can do Roth conversions. There's a lot of different things you can do. I'll leave it open for another couple minutes for any questions.
That was great.
Thanks,
You learn so much when you sit in on these. It's great.
I just love retirement planning. Everybody's so much, they're so different. And there's different goals they have and different things they want to do. But typically the three bucket structure just works for everybody.
And it's cool because it really is not a one shoe fits all, one size fits all. The conversation ends up being really tailored, and you get to know someone really well and be able to help them, create wealth and manage it well. So
fantastic. Well, Kim, I appreciate you joining with us. Continue to hop on to webinars each month. We're going to have at least one of these every month. So thank you so much for your time. I think that's it.
Yeah.
There are no questions. I'm going to get this approved by our compliance department, and everybody who attended will receive our presentations as well as this recording. Feel free to share with whomever you think would benefit. Again, thank you for your time, Paul.
Yep.
Great presenting with you, sir.
Of course. Thank you all.